Good morning. It is Thursday, and I'm here to show you something real cool. Okay, this is one container of oregano rosemary tea, which I'm about to pour the third cup of because it's so good. And I'm taking it for whatever purposes I'm taking it for. But, my goodness, let me show you how much tea I have. This, and then I also have more, and there's 4 more containers there and 2 more over there. I made a lot of tea yesterday. So let's talk about this. And actually what I did was I have a rosemary plant and an oregano plant, and so what I did was there's one large vat of oregano rosemary tea, and then another one with oregano rosemary and 2 cinnamon sticks. Both teas are fantastic. I like the oregano rosemary one the best, personally, but I think they're both good. Now, tea, herbal medicine. So when you have herbs that you're going to take for any medicinal purpose, I guess I should show you pouring it, shouldn't I? Okay, here we go. So this is the tea. Oh goodness, one-handed, people. Hey! Huh? Look at that. Also, pineapple container from Publix works as a to-go plastic wrap-up extras container, whatever you want to call it. Plastic's not the best ever, but does contain things when you need to do that. Oh my god, that's so good. Anyway, I've made oregano tea, people, but oregano rosemary tea? Yes. Okay, listen. So when you're making, when you have herbs and you're going to take them for health, there are many ways that you could take the herbs. You can have dried herbs that are then powdered. You can make tinctures, which are usually extracted traditionally in alcohol. Then you can also make tea, which when it's an herbal tea, the actual name is a tisane, Tisane, and there's 3 methods. One would be an infusion, which is more of like a steeping in hot water. One is called a decoction, which is when you boil the herbs on the stove in the water. And one would be a maceration, which has to do with soaking herbs for a long period of time. The different methods are mainly dependent on the type of herb. And I'm noticing that I need to fix what internet working. Okay, so the different methods are dependent on what type of herb and the part of the herb. Usually infusions, just like a tea bag, that's an infusion. Those are really meant for the gentle parts of the plant. Specific parts, but you could think gentle, like the flowers, the leaves, things like that. Decoctions, when you're boiling it on the stove, are like for the woodier, tougher parts of the plant. And then that maceration, or whatever it's called, where you're like soaking it, are for mucilagenic plants, things that have to like, some herbs really do have like almost like a slimy, for lack of a better word, compounds, which you can extract in certain ways. Those compounds are good for different things. Anyway, so when you're making herbs as medicine, one form is tisane, tea. There are 3 different extraction methods. That is what I just let you know. Making tea from herbs is a good way to specifically extract the polar compounds of the herb, because water is polar and like dissolves like. So polar meaning water has a positive and a negative charge in its compounds and in its molecular structure. And in herbs, there are certain there's many different compounds in herbs. Think about it. The Bible literally says that the fruit would be for food and the herbs will be for the healing of the nations. So God literally made them for healing. There's a lot of different compounds in herbs. In one herb, you can have many different compounds that are going to do many different things. And the type of extraction you use, the tincture, the pill form of a capsuled powder or oil extraction, or a tisane, a water extraction. All of those are taking different compounds from the herb, highlighting them, and getting them in a form that you can put in your body. Now, in oregano and rosemary, let's talk about what water extraction, what polar compounds are going to come out of oregano and rosemary. Oh my goodness. This is like this is the best herbal tea I've ever made. It is. I don't know why I keep saying slow connection. I hope this is working. Okay, so polar compounds of oregano. Specifically, phenolic acids, specifically rosmarinic acid, caffeic acid, and syringic acid. And also flavonoids such as luteolin, apigenin, and quercetin. So in the flavonoid group, I'm not sure about the luteolin and the apigenin, but I know that quercetin is one of the best antihistamines that you could possibly take. Also worth noting that all of those polar compounds I just listed, all of them as a group, are primarily responsible for the oregano plant's antioxidant and antimicrobial effects. Oregano tea is also known to be extremely beneficial to gastrointestinal systems and reducing gas and bloating, improving digestion, increasing metabolism. Oregano is also very good to fight off infections and good for your immune system. Okay, so that's oregano. Nope. And then rosemary contains several polar compounds, including diterpene glycosides, rosmarinic acid, which is also in oregano, and carnosic acid. These compounds are primarily responsible for rosemary's antioxidant and antibacterial properties. I found it interesting that both oregano and rosemary have rosmarinic acid named after the rosemary, though oregano has it too. And I was curious to find out what does that specific item do, that polar compound, since this tea is like a super shot of two different plants with rosmarinic acid. And I discovered it is anti-inflammatory and an antioxidant, has anti-cancer properties. Specifically as an anti-inflammatory, by the way, is beneficial for rheumatoid arthritis, bronchial asthma, and other inflammatory conditions. It is a fantastic antihistamine. It's anti-allergic, helps with allergic airway diseases. It is antimicrobial, anti-diabetic, improves glucose metabolism and lipid metabolism. It is neuroprotective, helps restore the function of neurons and reduce neurotoxicity. It is also it fights Alzheimer's disease, I discovered this morning. Cardioprotective, improves cardiac function, specifically in diabetic patients. In the anti-cancer department, prevents cell damage from free radicals and suppresses the proliferation of certain cancer cells. It is also known to be antidepressant, decreases serum corticosterone levels, and increases dopamine levels in the brain. If I look particularly happy, that could be why. Anyway, oregano rosemary tea, this is fantastic. The one with cinnamon is also fantastic. And if you know anything about cinnamon, you would probably know that it's also one of the highest antimicrobial plant compounds that we have. So that tea is like going to kill anything that's not supposed to be in you. This one too. This one is actually probably going to emphasize the neuroprotective benefits and general mood improvement and memory and digestion. Although cinnamon helps with that too. So actually that tea is probably an anti-diabetic tea because with the oregano, rosemary, and cinnamon, that one's crazy. Oh, let me tell you how I made it real quick. So I put my herbs in a pot with a lot of water. By the way, how much herbs? Let's say this whole large Publix pineapple container, let's say you stuffed this with oregano and rosemary and a few cinnamon sticks, if you wanted to do that version, that's how much went. That much. Stuffed this in a pot, a large pot. A pot that was like, this big pot. Okay? So, then I put water to literally fill the pot to the top. Because you're going to boil this for a while, so some of the water is going to go away. So fill the pot to the top. Almost to the top. Oh yes, that's what I was going to say as well. So when I'm talking about getting the herbs, we have herb plants. I literally cut the herbs with the branches and everything. And then I rinse them off really good and put them in the pot with the water. Like, leave the branches. Okay, then I put the water, put the pot on the stove. Got it to boiling. Set a timer so that it boiled for 20 minutes on like medium heat. Then I shut off the heat, left it on the stove for 20 minutes. Then I removed it and put it on the counter for at least 20 minutes to start cooling down. My preference is, it's 20 minutes to start cooling down. Then I took all the herbs out of my pot, put them in a new pot with more water, brought it to a boil, shut the stove off for 20 minutes. Basically, I just reused the herbs I had already used to make a ton more tea. So, if you really wanted the instructions, you could either ask me or just go back in the video to get those specifically. That is how you make a decoction. That would be called a decoction because we boiled the herbs. I do it for longer than some people do. There's debate about exactly how long, but I like it like that. It's also very easy. It's a little bit of a process, but you're just putting herbs in a pot with water and boiling them forever. Anyway, this is very good tea. That's how you make it. That's some of the benefits for taking it. I was fantastically impressed with this tea this morning. That's why I'm making this whole giant video. I keep saying slow connection. I hope the video works. I'm going to stop it now. I hope you have a wonderful Thursday, and see you soon.